2002, Kandahar, Afghanistan. The battle between the Taliban and the US-led Northern Alliance continued. During this conflict, one of the US troops on patrol went missing in the Kandahar region. Immediately a search team was sent and the search began, but what they found, there was not a missing unit, but a ridiculous one. They encountered a giant and the battle began. Based on an anonymous interview conducted by L.A. Marzulli in Watchers 10, let's take a closer look at the truth of the case.
And you were called into a very remote section of Afghanistan because a patrol had basically gone missing.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
No villages around
nothing.
For miles.
Right.
So it's very remote.
Yeah, very remote. So we flew in. To about 4 kilometers. We're hiking to the same area where they were supposed to make one of their checkpoints, one of their rally points. And before we left, there was all kinds of what happened with the ambush, but that was even odd because at the point of the ambush, you'd call for maybe close air support, something, okay? There was no calls made, just off the grid. So we're coming down a mountainside, and it was a nice path, a goat path. As we bent around this corner, you could see this opening of the cave. There's a cave as we're coming around. And then I see there's a lot of rocks, which is another oddity, and then bone matter. I'm not close enough to identify what kind of bones, but I did see something I knew was a piece of our communications equipment. So instantly, we're thinking ambush, maybe animal, could be anything. And there was enough room in front of this cave, but it had a sheer drop-off. But there was enough room that we actually got into a decent dispersal in case of ambush.
You see something coming out of the cave, and it's moving with a speed and agility that catches you off guard.
Everybody. And he comes out. It was a man at least 12 to 15 feet in height. This is a monster. Red beard, then his hair was longish, past the shoulder, a scarlet red, and Dan runs at him and starts shooting, which broke all of us into the reality. Because it was
so
surreal.
Now your training is kicking in.
Oh yeah,
okay.
Muscle memory, complete muscle memory. While Dan is moving at him, another bro of mine's laying down fire, and I start firing. He skewers Dan. He's now got him on this pike. It went through him. And he's still got him, and he's coming after more. We all just clicked in. I don't know what it was, but I remember we're all like, shoot him in the face, shoot him in the face. And our weapons components were in force. We had 308s, and we had Barrett 50s. This is sounding longer than it took. We're talking 30 seconds. And he's taking multiple hits, and is still moving. Dan was dead. Okay? And why is a good man, probably one of the best men I know, now dead. Before I'd left, they were already starting what they call a 9-line, which is a medevac request. They're sending out a medevac request, then all of a sudden it's not a medevac request. All of a sudden we had a helicopter show up because, like I told you, it was a large precipice and a sheer drop. So the helicopter just came up from the drop. They had dropped netting, which is like cargo netting. It's like squares. We were told we had to bundle him up. And we get another bigger helicopter, but it's almost like a Jolly Green Giant used to look back in the day that could get, through this area. Because the mountains, you gotta remember, Chinooks could only go in certain places because they had enough lift. Mm-hmm. And so we got him on there. The thing was too big. We couldn't move it. It smelled worse than a skunk. A corpse that's been around for a while.
Really foul.
Oh, it was like a combination because of the, how do you put that, the persistence of a skunk smell, but once the helicopter came in, dropped its little hook, and off he goes. The communication was sent out that we had a very large possible human creature.
There you are in the hills of Afghanistan, How many troop members are you with?
We had 6 on my crew. And when you say hills of Afghanistan, for us, we did not fly into the wilderness. We actually flew into a base. I guess this thing was transloaded out of the mountains by a CH-47. What I could see that it did have the 6 fingers. I remember taking my foot up and placing it up next to its foot, and it was extremely large. We estimated at about 12 feet, give or take. What I can tell you is the weight of the thing. Basically, it was approximately 1,500 pounds when it was getting on the aircraft. Now, if you take away the pallet weight and all the rigging that we had to hold this thing down, we figured it was around 1,100 pounds.
Of course we're upset. That's a given, okay? We lost a very good guy. But add to that, you're discussing something that even in our after-action report, they're saying rewrite it. And we had to rewrite it the way they wanted.
How many fingers?
6 toes.
And 6 toes.
And the nails were weird because if you see somebody that ever has, I don't know what it's called, but it's
Like a fungus on
the nails, how they get pointy and they're like gnarly, that's what they look like.
The giant was 3.5 to 4 meters tall, had 6 fingers on each hand and foot, and had strange nails. The giant was hung on a net by a helicopter and taken to a military base in Afghanistan. This is what was revealed in the interview. However, it seems that the giant was brought to Bagram Air Base, where it was frozen and stored. According to another witness, 3 years later, in 2005, the body of the giant was carried from Bagram Air Base. From the appearance of the giant and the way the giants were captured, it is certain that they are the same giant. And it is said that the giant was transported to Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar. The witness said it wasn't exactly known, but apparently believes that the giant was subsequently taken to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, USA. In addition, a third witness appears to have carried the giant to America. The witness is said to have been transported by plane from the United States to somewhere in Afghanistan to carry the load. He seems to have no idea where he was, except that he was at the Air Force Base. He said they loaded a 6-finger giant weighing 500 kilograms and transported it to a military base in Ohio. From these 3 independent testimonies, it is likely that the giant was brought to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in the U.S. 3 years after the capture. So what is this giant? The existence of the giant seems to have been known to the local people. The characteristics of the giant were that it was red-haired and had 6 fingers, and its skin color was paler than the local Afghans. He is almost 4 meters tall and cannot be considered a tall recluse. Humans of different species from modern humans are thought to live in the interior of Afghanistan. There, a giant called Nephilim appears in the Old Testament. According to Genesis, Nephilim is a giant race born between the children of God and the daughters of man. According to Numbers, Nephilim lived in the land of Canaan after the flood. The land of Canaan is the region on the west bank of the Jordan River today in Israel, located on the west side of the Orient world where ancient civilization flourished. And Afghanistan is the eastern edge of the Orient world. Kandahar is said to have been developed since ancient times as a strategic trading point connecting east and west. But once you step out of the city, you'll find a desert to the south and a dry mountain range to the north. If the Nephilim mentioned in the Testament were a different kind of real human being, they may have survived to the present in a remote place of Afghanistan. Evidence that the giant has survived until recently has been left around the world. In 1976, a 10-meter-tall giant bone was discovered on a site called Gallery 13 in Romania. The bone was taken to Moscow and never returned. In North America, there are many legends of giants among the indigenous people. Moreover, there are numerous records of the discovery of giant bones. However, these bones are now missing. Interestingly, North American giants are characterized by relatively white skin, red hair, and 6 fingers. These characteristics are exactly the same as the Kandahar giants. In the prehistoric world, giants different from modern humans might have existed widely. It is known that until just before human history began, several species of humans coexisted. At least modern humans and Neanderthals, Denisovans, and Floresman have existed at the same time. It has also been found that the genes of modern humans contain traces of unknown humans. One of these humans could have been a giant. Denisovans are the most likely candidates. As for the Denisovans, only bone fragments and teeth have been found, but they are known to be huge and robust. And Denisovans seem to have better technology than modern humans of the same period. Isn't it possible that the giant Denisovan had developed civilization before modern humans developed it? The mysterious megalithic remains that exist in the whole world may have been left by giants, not by modern humans. If the body is large and the weight is heavy, the building is inevitably required to have strength. It may be logical that the powerful giant used megaliths for construction. The key to solving the mystery of the giant is left in the Solomon Islands. In Solomon Islands, there still exist giants who are thought to be descendants of Denisovans.
On Tuesday, Russian special services detained a suspected Annunaki insurgent in the Crimea region of Bakhchisarai, says former KGB agent Strelnikov Isaac Stepanovich. Acting on tips provided by local residents, many of whom observed abnormally tall humanoids skulking near the village outskirts, Russian Spetsnaz descended on the area and began searching for suspicious individuals. Shortly after dark, Stepanovich said, a Spetsnaz recon squad confronted a 7-foot-tall humanoid with translucent skin that appeared to be phasing in out of existence. When asked to halt and show identification, the creature spoke unintelligible gibberish and then fled the scene. The soldiers gave chase, pursuing the alien infidel throughout the city. Reports say the alien moved at phenomenal speeds, possibly 40 kph. Initially, the creature eluded them, jumping tall obstacles and weaving in and out of back alleys and side streets. It had superhuman agility, but apparently limited stamina. After a 45-minute pursuit, the Spetsnaz converged on the target, trapping it on a dead-end road, Stepanovich said. Debriefed at the Kremlin, the unit commander told his superiors the Annunaki employed some form of innate sonic weapon that caused disorientation and confusion. A high-frequency sound wave compelled 2 soldiers to drop their weapons and instinctively cover their ears. Somehow, the remaining Spetsnaz resisted the attack and subdued the extraterrestrial. Stepanovich said the Kremlin has not released details on how the creature was captured or what weapons, if any, were used to apprehend it. Under tight guard, the beast was taken to a secret military installation at the base of Mount Yananta, in the Ural Mountains, Stepanovich added. I don't know if additional details are forthcoming. The Ministry of Defense is being very quiet about the incident. This does prove that President Putin continues to take the extraterrestrial threat seriously and, how do you say, go the extra mile toward protecting humanity from invasive species, Stepanovich said. Vladimir Putin, he argues, is one of few world leaders to take seriously the extraterrestrial threat. He has devoted substantial resources, manpower and money toward identifying and combating meddlesome species throughout not only Russia but also neighboring nations. Syria, Yemen, and Afghanistan, to name a few, Stepanovich said. These countries lack finances and military hardware to repel alien incursions. And Putin views hostile ETS as vermin to be eradicated. The Annunaki is just one species of many. By his estimation, the Kremlin knows of at least 9 extraterrestrial races currently visiting Earth or living amongst us. While a few species are neutral or benevolent, the majority is a consortium of malevolent beings eager to destabilize humanity by subverting global governments. The Annunaki and reptilians, he says, are the worst of the worst, having already seated themselves in positions of political power. In closing, Stepanovich says Russia will continue advancing technology to defeat threats from above, regardless of actions or inactions taken by other countries. They were here before us, they will be here after us, but we reserve the right to protect ourselves and our interests, he said.